Mile 22 is Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg's newest collaboration, and it is supposed to be a possible start of a series of movies starring Mark Wahlberg as this badass intelligence person. Like, they don't really, like, he gets things done. That's what he does. And when diplomacy and other things don't work, they send him in to destroy shit. And I found it to be a complete failure.
Do you have men wandering our embassy?
You're good there. Can I trust you?
Put me on a plane to the US and I'll give you everything.
So the movie starts out with a pretty cool scene where Mark Wahlberg is set in like a sniper position, and they have this team going into this house that's full of Russian spies / terrorists, and they're taking them all out, and they have like this team that's off-site, keeping an eye on them and telling them everything that's going on. And so you get an idea of what an op may be with them. And then after that, you get the weirdest intro scene. It's like they thought they were, I don't know what they thought they were filming a TV show or something. But like, they did all the exposition for his character is in this scene, like in the opening scene, like after the cold open. And this is all pretty much through like newspaper articles and other like weird clips. You find out that he's a genius and that his family died in a car crash, and he went to he was an orphan, and he liked to keep his mind on things. He snaps a rubber band, boop boop boop, and it's like it's all this random stuff it's like they didn't know how to actually do it to show it to you, so I just decided to put it all in a minute or two long intro scene. And it puts the bad taste in your mouth right out from the start, after kind of a cool intro scene. And then once the movie actually starts, I really have to say that this is the worst editing I've probably ever seen in an action movie. And I've seen other really bad action, like for example in like Taken 3, Taken 2, and except for the first Taken, even like, and other movies that have really bad action, have really bad editing around the bad action. And that's because, if you're editing like horrible action, you have to try to figure out a way to make it look decent. So you put in a lot of cuts, you add like a fake shaky camera, and to try to make it look energetic, try to make it look like they're actually doing cool stuff. But in this one, it stars Iko Uwais as one of the main characters, and he is a freaking badass. He's like a Salat champion, and he's a choreographer, and he did like two of my favorite action movies ever, The Raid 1 and 2. And he is in this, and you see him doing excellent stunts, but then the way they cut it, you almost can't tell what's happening. And the weirdest thing is that you know that they're doing really good stunts and that there's good choreography, but for some reason they're editing around it. Like the two is they're breaking the rules of editing, because like a person will be on one side of the screen and they'll be on the other side of the screen from different angles, so you lose track of them. And the way they cut together, you completely lose track of the fight scene. You have no idea what's going on, and you can't see the cool stuff he's doing. Like, it is the most frustrating action movie I've ever seen, maybe. But I mean, if there's a bad action movie, then I'd be fine. It's a bad movie. But this, like, I could almost feel like there is a good movie somewhere within it, and that almost, like, annoys me more. Because, I mean, and this really weird editing is not just in the action scenes. And it's the worst whenever Iko Uwais is fighting, is when it gets the worst. But for the gunplay, which is all Mark Wahlberg does, it's bad, but not as bad as with Iko. And it's also, it's just as bad, though, in a lot of the conversation scenes, in the dialogue. Like, it's all, like, fast cut to no reason. Like, you have a second on a person's face, second on the person's face, and then 2 seconds of him snapping his rubber band, and it's like, boop, 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 and talking, boop, and it's like, it is so annoying, and it serves no point. And so much of the film is like, they try to make these people all dicks. They're all douchebags. Especially Mark Wahlberg. Like, there's no point. Why make him a douchebag? He doesn't have to be a douchebag. One of the other main stars is Lauren Cohen from The Walking Dead. And she is, you get exposition for her where she is divorced, and she has like this weird app on the video phone where she talks to her douchebag ex-husband. And the douchebag ex-husband is the director, Peter Berg. And it took me so out of the film. Like, he's trying to get her mad to say the F word, so the app shuts it down and won't let her see her kid. And it's just like, it's pointless. You don't need this stuff. Like, I want to see more character building. But like, you have a team, and at a certain point, a lot of members of the team are going to start dying, and you have to care about them. But you beat the team, but like, you don't really care about any of them. Like, one thing I say, another person of the team was Ronda Rousey, and this is probably the best I've seen her in a movie, in an acting position, because as the other acting stuff she's done so far, I mean, she's done some of the action okay, but her acting was pretty bad. And I don't know if it's part of the transition to wrestling. Maybe she's taken some acting coaches, some acting classes. But I mean, it's still, she doesn't have that much to do, because it's more of a side character. But I still think, I hope that she can improve, and show more of what she did in this film. As for the whole setup of the film, it's basically that Iko Uwais is the MacGuffin of the film, and he knows where the cesium radioactive powder is. And they never really explain it too much, especially with things that happen. Like, there's a lot of twists and turns, of course, but they never really explain like who got this stuff or where it was and what they're planning to do with it. But basically he goes in there and he has a hard drive that is deteriorating, and he wants to get out of the country. And once he's out of the country, he'll give them the code for the hard drive, and it'll contain the location of the weapons. And they have to get him to a plane to get out of the country, which is 22 miles away from the American embassy. And the people in the country they're in, they do not want them to have this guy. Again, that's another thing that's not very explained very well, because they don't even say what he did for the country. Just that the first he was a policeman, and then obviously not. There's something more, but they never really explain it. And then once that starts going, that's kind of the rest of the movie. And some of the stuff that happens, some of the gunplay is fun. That makes me even more annoyed at the cutting of the action, the editing. And there's also, it's very odd, where they never even show the setup for this, but at a certain point, you have Mark Wahlberg in the future, like, talking to someone about what happened. And they never set it up. He's just randomly talking about it happening, and they also have random scenes of Russians on a spy plane messing with them. So it's like, okay, so I know that the mission goes wrong, but Mark Wahlberg lives. And it's like, it wasn't necessary at all either. But how they decided to do it like that. And again, like, once the action isn't horrible, like there's some chase scenes and there's a lot of gunplay. And, the editing is still weird, but again, the editing is the worst whenever there is hand-to-hand fighting. And I just can't stress enough how horrible the editing is in these scenes. Like, and I don't know, I mean, you have to blame Peter Berg for directing it. I guess he was maybe trying to go for a style, but he didn't know how to do it. I don't really know what happened behind the scenes to make him make such a ugly film. Like, it's such a poorly edited film. And it's also it's weird because, slight spoiler, but not I don't think it really matters that much, because right from the beginning you see them talking afterwards about like he's orating, everything went wrong, but things go wrong at the end, and there's twists. And it ends on a really down note, the movie. It ends on a super down note. And I don't see any reason for it to end like that, except that they were trying to say something. Like, it feels like Peter Berg was trying to say something with this film, but I don't know what he was trying to say. I have, like, no idea what he was trying to say with this film. Like, because if they had done something wrong in the opening scene, in the opening scene they killed all these Russians that were spies and planning some sort of attack. Like, and that is good. Like, I mean, we should defend our country, but then that triggers the Russians doing a counterattack because of the people that was killed in that. And I don't know what they're trying to say with it, because I mean, they set up things for twists, and I wouldn't mind the twist if it ended in a boss fight. That's what I wanted to see, and that's what I was kind of expecting, because I knew that stuff was going on, but I wanted a boss fight with Mark Wahlberg and the bad guy. And you don't get it. And they set it up for that, but they don't get it. And the only reason I can think they do that is because they want to have them lose, but they don't want to have Mark Wahlberg die or lose in the fight. Like, how he might have in his contract where he's not allowed to die or lose in the fight. But, like, if they have this thing set up where you can still have almost all the stuff, but then you have a big fight at the end, and, I mean, either way, either Mark Wahlberg loses or wins, and I think it'd be a much better ending to the movie. Especially a much more satisfying end. But, again, I think they're trying to say something incomprehensible as it is with the ending of the film. And, as a whole, I just did not like it. I mean, I almost like it even less than a horrible movie, because I can see parts of it that were good. Like, I mean, I probably give like a 4 out of 10, 3.5 out of 10. Like, it really annoyed me, and I would not recommend it. I say just stay away from it, even if you're an action fan, because it's depressing to see what I think should be great action ruined by editing. But thanks for watching. Share the playlist from ahead and subscribe to me over there. Thanks.